Welcome to the NWR Communications Near-Term Producers Conference. My name is Kerry Stevenson. Up next, we have Group 6 Metals. ASX code is G6M. Now, joining me today is Keith McKnight. He is the CEO. We're going to be talking about the Dolphin Tungsten Mine down there on King Island on the bottom of Australia. Keith, great to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi,
Tell
Kerry.
us what the
Thank you for having
updates
me.
are.
Sorry, what was that?
Tell us about where you're up to and what the updates are with this tungsten mine.
Yes, of course. Thanks, Kerry. Thanks for having me on. So King Island Scheelite, what we were previously known, is now Group 6 Metals, and we're developing the Dolphin Tungsten Mine on King Island in the northwest of Tasmania. The name reflects the Group 6 elements on the periodic table, which tungsten is one of them. So that's where the name has come from. So on the cover slide there, we show an aerial photograph of the mine and the associated infrastructure. So you'll see that the pit there in the foreground, the water's been pumped down into Grassy Bay. The water is actually very high quality water, which is a testament to the pH neutral rock that's in the pit. The open cut mine will progress eastwards towards Grassy Bay, and will encounter some of the previously rehabilitated land as it moves east. Then over on the right-hand side is where we're going to locate our process plant, which we will produce tungsten concentrate from. And then in the background there, we've got the breakwater and the grassy harbour. An interesting fact about the breakwater is that was constructed from overburden rock that was taken from the mine when the mine operated up until the early 1970s. And it's now home to a thriving colony of fairy penguins. So that's our contribution to the grassy harbour. So on the next slide, we've got 6 key project investment fundamentals to discuss. So tungsten is ranked internationally as a critical mineral due to its economic importance and its supply chain constraints. Dolphin is one of the highest grade tungsten deposits in the Western world, which results in a low risk, high margin operation. As I previously mentioned, the overburden is non-acidic, forming rock. We've got an initial 14-year mine life with significant exploration upside. First production of tungsten concentrate planned for Q1 2023. The process is historically proven on the mine site, with a large proportion, up to 75% of our concentrate coming from simple gravity circuits separation. And the company has got existing offtakes in place for up to 70% of its planned production. And also we've got direct access to infrastructure. So we've got a pathway to market. So our key milestones that we've been achieving, since the first half of 2021. So the company secured a government loan from the state government of Tasmania for 10 million. And that really, Kerry, provided a cornerstone for the rest of the funding package that was secured. Upon securing the funding, we placed order for long lead items, long lead equipment, which basically kind of insulates us a little bit from the current kind of cost escalatory environment and potential delays to delivery.
I was going to ask you about that, Keith. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was going to ask you about that. Is there going to be some, because we all know that there are some challenges with the supply chains at the moment. Have you ordered them well enough in advance that it's not going to impact, do you think? What's your view?
Yeah, look, that was the plan, to get all these materials, the long lead items especially, ordered and procured. And, in hindsight, which is great, that's proven to be a very good plan, because it's mitigated, cost increases, which I think everyone's experiencing. Look, we're not out of the woods yet on it. There are some, just overnight that we've heard there's some COVID restrictions being placed in China, which might impact some deliveries, but we don't know what the extent of that is yet. So we'll just have to try and work out ways to mitigate it.
Okay.
So we had our official commencement construction ceremony on the island on the 24th of February, which was well attended by all stakeholders. We had a very big turnout. It was a very enjoyable day. We had state and local government attend, so the project is really well supported. We've started our earthworks on site with the intent to commence the construction of the process plant in late May. So everything's on track at the moment, you know, pending that we can mitigate some of these kind of ongoing impacts that everyone's experiencing. But, you know, we're on track for first concentrate in Q1 of next year. So as I mentioned, construction has started. Australia's next tungsten mine. We're nearing the completion of the earthworks for the process plant. Procurement of long lead items, equipment have been completed, and we've executed our major contract with Gecko Systems for delivery of the process plant. So I've got some photographs over there on the right-hand side. So the top photograph is our DZ01 bulldozer clearing vegetation, and then the bottom picture just shows the earthworks progress up to mid-March. So that's where our process plant is, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but the grassy harbour is in the background.
Yeah, I can just about make it out there. Are there any challenges with the clearing and the commencement of those earthworks in terms of any environmental issues, any challenges there, or all clear and good to go?
No, we're in it. We deliberately picked an area that, you know, that was free of threatened flora and fauna. So we, you know, which enabled us to clear that area. We deliberately picked that area because it's the view from the grassy town on the hill is obscured by the waste dump. So I think the process plant's probably going to sit into that position quite naturally. Any areas where we have to clear any vegetation that's threatened, we announced there recently that we have a conservation covenant for 33.7 hectares of land. So we will protect that land and make sure that it remains protected.
Right, thanks.
Okay, just some photographs, just indicating our progress on site. On the top right-hand corner there's a photograph of the official sod turning ceremony, which, as I said, was a very good day for the company. So on the next slide, we've got location, existing infrastructure. So the project's located on King Island, which is just off the northwest coast of Tasmania, the Bass Strait. And the Dolphin Mine is located in the northeast or the southeast corner of King Island. So G6 has secured a freehold title of the land around the mine, and which secures direct access to the port, which means that we can mine, process tungsten concentrate, and deliver it to the port for export, you know, with direct access.
Keith, how do you get to King Island? Do you go from Melbourne or do you go from Tassie? How do you get there? Because it's kind of
it's regularly serviced with flights from both Melbourne, Launceston, and Hobart.
Oh,
so there's
okay.
So Rex service the island from Melbourne, and then Sharp Airlines service it from the island of Tasmania.
Okay.
So the company's also secured some residential property on the island, and the old schoolhouse, which will provide messing and accommodation for the workers on the island. We're trying to attract residential staff. We're trying to attract people to come and live on the island and participate in the community. So I think this is an important step in that process. So it's a low risk mining start. So as you could tell by the photograph on the cover of the presentation, the open pit's already developed, and we will be on ore on day one. So there's no need for any significant capital spend for overburden removal. We're going to operate an owner-operated truck and shovel mining fleet with mining to commence in November 22. So that will allow us to implement cost-efficient mining operations. We're expecting to recover 400,000 tonnes of ore, high-grade ore per annum, which will yield around 220,000 MTU of WO3 for the first 8 years. And that's over the open cut area. Then after the open cut area is finished, we've got a higher grade underground mine producing 300,000 tonnes per annum, yielding a similar amount of MTUs of WO3 for a further 6 years. And why I say a similar amount is because the grade improves as we go underground.
Wow.
Okay, so in the bottom map there, you can see that the mine advances eastwards towards the Bass Strait, Grassy Bay, and the overburden being pH neutral will be emplaced in the bay, and that this has been done historically, and we're approved to do so. We will also use some of the overburden rock recovered from the mining operation to construct our tailings storage facility, which you can't quite see it there, but it's located just north of that image. So we've got a proven and optimized process flow sheet. So as I previously mentioned, the majority of our concentrate will be recovered from simple gravity separation. On the fine ore separation, we've introduced multi-gravity separators, and these separators will result in lower flotation costs and higher recovery. So we will recover some of the finer ore before sending the tailings from the MGSs to the flotation circuit, reducing the overall size.
Keith, I've just got a question. Sorry, Keith, I've just got a question asking about the confidence on the process flow sheet. Just if you could shed some light on the confidence that you've got on that.
Yeah, we're very confident in the flow sheet. As I said, up to 75% of our concentrate will be produced. It's been from simple gravity, which has been historically proven on this mine site. The remaining 25% will be, run through these MGSs in the flotation. We've done a full-scale trial of the MGSs at ALS in Burnie, and we've been able to, using the results from that trial, we've been able to prove our confidence in the process flow sheet. So we've got a proven EPC contractor in Gecko. Gecko have been involved in the development of the process flow sheet over the last 3 to 4 years. As I said, orders have been placed for long lead items, and those guys are due to start construction on site in May 2022.
Not that far away.
Not that far away. Yes, definitely. So I mentioned before, we've got a world-class deposit. I think the Dolphin Tungsten Mine stacks up very well against its peers. On this graph here on the left-hand side, on the y-axis, we've got the grade, and as you can see, Dolphin rates very high in grade, nearly 1%. And then on the x-axis, we've got contained tungsten, MTUs of tungsten, of WO3, sorry. The bubble size indicates the actual reserve size for each of these projects. So while it may look like we've got a smaller reserve size due to the high grade, we actually have more contained WO3. So the Dolphin mine reserves and resources. So we've got 9.6 million tonnes at 0.9% at Dolphin, and we've got a further 1.6 million tonnes at similar grade at Bold Head. Should mention Bold Head has previously operated as an underground operation and is located on the same mining lease. So if you see there on the map, the mining lease is indicated on red. So that's mining lease 2080. And then we've got a fairly large land position surrounding the mining lease, which is in the hatched blue area.
So sorry, is Bold Head part of the mining lease, did you say, or is that exploration?
It's part of the mining lease, but it's a satellite operation. It's not connected directly to the Dolphin Tungsten Mine at the moment.
Okay.
So we've got reserves to underwrite a 14-year mine life. Our recent drilling stacks up really well and correlates really well with historical information that we have for the mine. So we're pretty confident in the resource and reserve estimates that we have identified. So we've got offtake agreements in place. So we've got offtake agreements in place for, you know, between 60 and 70% of our planned production. We've got an offtake in place with Wolfram Bergbau Hutton, which is a world-leading supplier of tungsten powders, and a subsidiary of Sandvik, which has a market cap of 23 billion. So we've agreed to supply them with 35,000 MTU of WO3 per annum for 4 years. We've also got an offtake.
Sorry, Keith, what percentage is that of your overall production?
That represents between 15 and 20% of our overall production. We've also got an offtake agreement with Traxys, which is a leading international physical commodity trader headquartered in Luxembourg. And we've contracted with them to supply them with 90,000 MTU of WO3 per annum for 4 years. So as I said, the combined agreements are somewhere between 60 and 70%. The reason why is we've just recently updated our mine plan, and we're confident that we can achieve better production than the previous mine plan. So we're currently in discussions with other potential buyers for offtake. Preferably, we'd probably like to have offtake up to maybe 80% and sell the remaining 20% in the spot market. But the company will work through that strategy in the next 1 to 2 months.
Keith, what's the price of tungsten doing? I mean, look, lots of commodity prices are being very strong. Is tungsten the same? Is there a strong market for tungsten at the moment? I don't really.
Yeah, look, I have a slide on pricing, which I can address that when we get to the slide. But the tungsten prices are probably at 4 or 5 year highs at the moment. So yeah, tungsten is a critical industrial metal. So a large number of government bodies and industry and agencies have identified tungsten as a critical mineral going forward. This is due to its economic importance and primarily its supply risk in a market that's dominated by China. Tungsten has very unique properties. It's got the highest melting point of any known element, high density, very hard, only second to diamonds. And because of these properties, it's unsubstitutable as a material going forward. So demand for tungsten, while it fell in 2021, and this is primarily due to this in 2020, this is primarily due to the slowdown in economic activity. So it went from 106,000 tons to 93. It's forecast to pick up again, I suppose, as we all come out of our COVID slumber. It's primarily, you can see the uses there. Sorry, I just need to. It's primarily used in drilling, mining, automobile manufacture, transport, and looking forward into future uses. There's an increasing use of tungsten as tungsten tetrafluoride gas, which is used in the manufacture of semiconductors. So it's basically the gas is used to deposit a thin film of tungsten on the semiconductors. And due to its very low resistivity, tungsten is very suitable for semiconductor manufacture. The use of tungsten hexafluoride gas is forecast to increase by 4 times between now and 2026.
Wow.
So this is the slide you were waiting for, Kerry. The price history. So as you can see from the graph there, we're currently sitting at 5 year highs for tungsten at around 350 per MTU APT, that is, which is about 88.5% tungsten. You'd see that around June 2019 that there's a price drop, and this was due to the uncertainty around Fania APT stocks. So Fania was a group that was holding APT, about 28,000 tons of APT in a warehouse, and went into receivership. And then there was concern over how that would impact the market price. Once that stock was auctioned, the price had a recovery. And then, kind of March, June 20, COVID hit, and there was a slowdown of an economic activity. But following that, then there's been a steady increase. And as I said, we're back to kind of 5-year highs, which means it's excellent timing for the Dolphin Tungsten project to be developed. At current prices and exchange rate, and anticipated operating costs, we're estimating that the margin is around 210 Australian dollars per MTU. And to put that in context, our annual production is 220,000 MTU. So the company is committed to ESG. We're committed to developing the project in a sustainable and environmentally responsible manner. It's a pristine, nice, lovely environment on King Island, and we intend to preserve that as much as we can. Our corporate governance, we're committed to governance by the ASX governance principles and recommendations, and also adherence to the UN Sustainability Development Goals. So G6, will continue to work and improve on its ESG governance, and I think that's the benefit to the project, to the company, and to all our stakeholders. So on the next slide is a corporate overview. Current share price is around 15 cents, with 631 million shares on issue. As of December 31, we had 36 million in the bank and 43.2 million in undrawn debt facilities, with a market cap of 94.6 million. So we've got a very supportive shareholder registry. The top 4 shareholders have contributed up to $46 million in project funding through debt and equity. So obviously very committed, and we're very thankful to those shareholders for providing that support. So our board of directors and key management. So we've got our non-executive chairman, JOHANN Jacobs. JOHANN has been promoting and pushing this company for the last 10 years through ups and downs, and it's a credit to him and the rest of the board to get the company to where it is today. JOHANN's a finance executive with over 40 years experience and has guided this company to where we are today. Chris Ellis, fellow director and second largest shareholder, has been supporting the company over a similar period or even before. Chris' core skills are geology, mining, and engineering, and he was also the founding director of Excel Coal, which was later acquired by Peabody Energy for around $2 billion in 2006. And the third director on the board is Greg Hancock. He's managing director of Hancock Corporate Investments, which is a specialist corporate advisory practice. He is a non-executive chairman of OzQuest, BMG Resources, and many other ASX listed companies. Greg maintains an active and ongoing engagement with capital markets, both in Australia and the United Kingdom. So my experience, I'm an operations executive. I've just recently joined the company 2 months ago. I've got over 22 years experience in project delivery, in construction and mining, and very much looking forward to the construction, commissioning, and operations of the Dolphin project. So that brings me to my presentation.
All right. Well, Keith, I've got some questions for you. We saw the mining lease area, and we saw lots of area around that for exploration. Can you just talk us through some news flow around that sort of exploration area, and in terms of growing the resource? What are the plans for that? Because you've got cash. How much is going to go?
Our primary focus at the moment is on the project. Obviously this project is going to be a company maker for G6M. and will provide the platform for further development and exploration of that area. We are planning an exploration program later in the year at the Investigator prospects. It'll be a kind of a 4 to 6 hole program, and that's really just to confirm the presence of scheelite bearing rock in that area. So we will do some exploration, and we also have an opportunity potentially to convert the current resources at Bold Head to reserves, and we're working on that also.
Got a question here. Historically, King Island scheelite, now Group 6 metals, had high moly. Will this report to the concentrate? And if so, how's that going to affect sales?
Yes, I mean, historically we've had high moly, but we've, given where we're at with the process sheet, we think we can maintain the moly levels below our requirements under the Offtake Agreement. The company, it's probably too early to comment on this, but the company is also looking at potentially some downstream processing that might be able to remove some of the moly and reduce the moly. But look, we're quite comfortable that we can maintain the levels that we're contracted to supply.
All right, well, we're out of time. Keith, you're an operations guy and you're like chomping at the bit to get this underway.
Exactly, yeah.
Am I right?
You're dead right. Yeah, I really enjoy this stage of project development and construction. I can't wait to update the market in the next few months.
I was about to say you're going to have to come back and give us an update because there's lots going on. Congratulations. I love the new name. Congratulations, and we'll look forward to talking to you again in the near future. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us. Bye.